The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim is an animated film based on characters created by J.R.R. Tolkien. The story takes place in the Kingdom of Rohan, whose warriors, the Rohirrim, took part in all of the best battle scenes in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films. The War of the Rohirrim is set 200 years before Bilbo Baggins finds the One Ring. The king of Rohan at the time of this film is Helm Hammerhand, whose throne is challenged by an upstart lord, Freka, who's upset to hear that Helm's daughter, the Princess Hera, will be married off to form a political alliance with the Kingdom of Gondor. Freka covets the throne of Rohan for himself and would rather his son Wolf marry the Princess Hera. So that's the conflict that sets off the War of the Rohirrim. Brian Cox voices Helm Hammerhand, and given that casting, we should not be surprised that Helm turns out to be a complex character. He's an indomitable warrior, but he's also King Lear. The film's marketing doesn't tell us that, though. The marketing instead focuses on the princess, Hera, who becomes a shield maiden. And the movie is even narrated by Miranda Otto, who played the shield maiden Éowyn in the Peter Jackson films. Helm Hammerhand is celebrated as one of the great kings of Rohan. And on the surface, that story is told in this movie, but as shown here, Helm sets off the War of the Rohirrim because he challenges Freka to a fistfight and accidentally kills him with one punch. Yes, that happens in the movie. And it happens in life. That scene is realistic. So it's barroom brawling, but there's no ale, just brawling. Now, after he kills Freka, Helm banishes Freka's son, Wolf, which causes Wolf to swear vengeance and amass a huge army from among the hill tribes. The film is executive produced by Peter Jackson and written by Philippa Boyens, who wrote all of the Lord of the Rings films. Those films won a bunch of Oscars, and Helm Hammerhand is only mentioned with respect. But here, the same filmmakers show us that Helm causes the near destruction of his people. He brings about the fall of the capital, Edoras, because Wolf attacks with the hill tribes. And when the capital is burned to the ground, Helm's two sons, who are in the line of succession, are both killed. And earlier in the film, Helm had banished yet someone else, his own nephew, who was smart and loyal, in favor of one of the lords who turns out to be a traitor. This forces the people of Rohan to retreat to the fortress of Helm's Deep, which is called the Hornburg here. They rename the fortress Helm's Deep at the end of the film, and it becomes the site of maybe the best battle scene in Peter Jackson's films, the Battle of Helm's Deep. But that's 300 years into the future. In this film, Helm's actions are responsible for wiping out nearly his entire line of succession, just like King Lear. Now, his daughter, Princess Hera, does survive, however. She's the heroine of this movie. She has some great moments, seeking help from the great eagles and taking part in the final fight. She challenges Wolf to single combat as a way of distracting the hill tribes while the people of Rohan escape the fortress. And to draw their attention, she puts on a wedding dress when she goes out there to do battle. Upon seeing the shield maiden in a wedding dress, Wolf says, "Do you think I still want to marry you after all this?" And she says, "No." And he says, "Well, who are you getting married to?" And she says, "Death." Now, this is a callback to the Peter Jackson films when the Rohirrim charge at the orcs who are attacking Minas Tirith. The Rohirrim include Éowyn, who's disguised as a man so she'll be allowed to fight, and she's screaming along with the warriors, "Death!" The characters are drawn in the style of anime, but the backgrounds are semi-photorealistic, probably photos or footage mapped onto 3D objects using graphic software. Now, that would be my guess. This process is used for many animated films, but the anime characters in the foreground give the film a different look. Now, some reviewers thought the film looked uneven as a result, but I enjoyed it, although it's very different from Pixar. Apparently, motion capture was used for the characters. I'm discussing these technical aspects because having used 3D graphic software did impact my enjoyment of the film. I enjoyed it more as a result. Now, graphic software works just like using a regular camera, but it's all done within the software in a 3D virtual space where you can place as many cameras as you like and have them swivel and dolly zoom and all that. The director is Kenji Kamiyama, who's directed many anime films. I like what he's done here, even apart from the animation. Helm Hammerhand is presented as a bad leader who places his people at risk and destroys his family because of pride and a short fuse. Now, no one who studied King Lear would conclude that he was a good leader either. The Shield Maiden storyline has a watchable conclusion as well, with Hera riding into battle in a wedding dress. In this film, we only get two orcs. They're shown feasting on human corpses outside of the Hornburg. They're also shown collecting rings from the corpses. Wonder why they'd be collecting rings. Peter Jackson and Philippa Boyens are part of the creative team. So if you're a fan of the Peter Jackson films, there's continuity here. Now maybe you don't like animation. That could be a reason not to watch. But if you enjoy the Tolkien universe, the reinterpretation of Helm Hammerhand as King Lear is not to be missed. And even if you're not a Tolkien fan, you'll enjoy Brian Cox, as well as the efforts of hundreds of animators credited for this film. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.